what is excessive screen time? Basically, excessive screen time means that the child is exposed either to the television screen or even computer screen or even mobile screens like on a smartphone. And it is bad for the child because it affects a number of elements. First, the physical well-being and development, as well as the emotional well-being of the child. And there is certainly cause for worry if the child is accessing screen time a lot during their early childhood. Well, the basic rule is that excessive screen time will affect physical and mental health. And this is not compensated by giving additional physical activity. Well, the excessive screen time is really defined by time in front of either television screens, computer screens, or today, the ubiquitous smartphone screen. And if they spend a lot of time on the screen, it may affect their ability to first interact in real life, and that's always not a good sign that they wouldn't want to interact with people, but instead interact only largely with the screen. The other thing that we have to be aware of, obviously, is that parents should not use screen time as a way to babysit young children, and that there should always be an adult caregiver around the young child. Beyond 5, it's inevitable that screen time will come into play because they are in school and there's a lot of screen activity both in school as well as in, in personal life. What it needs is parental supervision. Well, basically, a lot of the games and apps that have been created are intentionally engaging to keep them online, playing the games and using the apps. So it is not surprising that children are particularly engaged in those games and apps. What is probably key is the fact that they require some supervision and limiting of the use. Once you allow a child to play excessively in so-called binge on these games and apps, there's a tendency to want to do it more and more, and then that becomes addictive. Well, the first thing is obviously there's an effect on weight because sedentary activities like playing on a computer or using a mobile phone sitting down will cause them to put on weight, and obesity is a major issue. Obviously, the other issue is about sleep. Excessive screen time will affect sleep, and a child not having sufficient sleep will affect their development. And finally, of course, the actual emotional and physical development is affected by screen time because it takes them away from activities that will help enhance their development. Well, I think the first thing is make sure that you monitor their activities, especially when they're young. Second, make sure that you monitor their activities, that this doesn't affect meal times, play times, and also bedtimes. The other thing is to make sure that you vet the materials that they go through, whether it's a movie or a game. Make sure that the content is acceptable and there's no violence and aggression, which some of this content can have effects on their development. And then finally, do not have solo activities, leaving the child alone to play these games. Best to do it either in a group, family, with peers.